Marvel's Midnight Suns was unveiled to the public back in August of 2021 by Firaxis Games and published by 2K. It had a couple of delays until its eventual release in December of 2022, and I remember seeing the original trailer and just not being that enthralled with the idea of a tactical card game. Say what you will about me, but I don't want to think too much when I come home to play video games. I just want to turn my brain off. If I sit down, I will fall asleep, I swear to God. That being said, the Iron Man Funko pre-order, the one from GameStop, was a really cool incentive, and can we keep stuff like that going? Can we? Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Despite my apprehension, Marvel's Midnight Suns received overwhelmingly positive reviews, but unfortunately was declared a commercial flop by 2K. And I think that's to say that they feel that they didn't really market the game that well, as opposed to not actually selling enough copies. I don't know if that actually has anything to do with turning a profit, but it just seems like they didn't reach the audience that they wanted to. And especially when it comes to big AAA games with big AAA budgets, a big hefty percentage of that game's budget is literally sent to marketing. So, making sure that it's actually used effectively is important. Marvel's Midnight Suns opens on the evil organization Hydra, we all know who Hydra is, leading Dr. Faustus uncovering the tomb of the demon mother Lilith. Finding the barriers between magic and the normal world weakened, Iron Man and Doctor Strange attempt to get the Parchment of Power from Johnny Blaze in an attempt to subvert the Midnight Sun prophecy. But they fail to get him to cooperate, he's too badass, and he just leaves. But I recently subscribed to Humble Choice. It's one of those subscription programs provided through Humble Bundle that gives you new games and such each month. This month's was like Scorn and Life is Strange True Colors, but I actually subscribed to it back in January solely because the big game was Marvel's Midnight Suns. I was slightly interested in it, I just wasn't really interested in paying the full price tag. And I gotta say, after 30-something hours of gameplay, and like a possible extra 60 plus hours or more that I could still take on, Marvel's Midnight Suns is the blurriest, horniest, and deeply robust strategy-driven card game I've played. Dear Lord, that's a tongue twister. With the Abbey left as the last safe haven from Lilith's reach, can the Midnight Suns and the Avengers, now teamed up, stop Lilith from resurrecting her dark leader Chthon and bringing about the end of the world? Marvel's Midnight Suns is a tactical card game that comes with a lot of heavy influences from Firaxis' XCOM series. But when it comes down to it, Marvel's Midnight Suns has a complex card system with an amazing amount of flexibility and a stratagem given to the player. Each character has a deck made of 8 cards, with each level, or each challenge, allowing for 3 heroes in total for battle. You get to select them. Once in combat, players have a randomly dealt hand of cards that can be anything from attacks to taunts, other buffs, stuff like that. Cards either cost heroism or build heroism, so most plays will be having you focus on building your heroism so you can actually redeem that for more expensive and powerful cards in later turns. There's even like these really cool hero combination cards that are costly but deliver a massive amount of damage and come paired with a really cool mashed mini cutscene of hero attacks. Each turn you're provided a set amount of card plays, moves, and redraws. Figuring out how to efficiently maximize your damage, manage your team, and other possible environmental factors on the battlefield within the set amount of card plays becomes the ultimate goal. It took me first few levels to get a grip on the pacing of a game like this. This isn't really what I play, I think I mentioned that earlier, but I found myself fully invested in it in just a few short hours. I think the setting of the Marvel Universe and, some familiar and even less familiar Marvel characters might have had something to do with that, maybe. But as the hours went by, the scope of the game's card mechanics they continue to evolve and broaden and bring in new characters and enemies and scenarios, and they all just get introduced seamlessly, each just kind of building on top of one another, and I never had that moment of, what am I supposed to do? If you've been playing through all the levels and paying attention, it all just comes naturally. Once new heroes are introduced, you get to experiment and pull off some really good plays. Heroes like Blade, Wolverine, and Robbie Reyes as Ghost Rider can life-steal HP from enemies, while Captain America and Nico provide support buffs while still dealing a massive amount of damage in their regular attacks. I could go on and on and on because there's a lot of cards. But man, I really want to say, I just want to get it out there that the combat and the deck system are great. They're true to the characters that I know. They're creative in terms of deck building and team strategy. And they're just something everyone should have a chance to experience. It's different from everything I've played. Even those of us who aren't usually the, typical demographic for a tactical game, I think would genuinely enjoy this. Each level counts as a day. Once completed, the hunter and the teamer return to the Abbey, and right about here is where I think Midnight Suns becomes a weird game, because it suddenly shifts from a tactical game to a, hey, flirting with everyone in the Abbey game. Having to spend time with the heroes on hangouts or even participating in one of the many clubs that are composed of different heroes was not something that I was expecting. Don't get me wrong, there are some genuinely funny moments, but I find this part of the game to be so polarizingly weird and a huge distraction from what is essentially the meat and potatoes of the game. In fact, I don't even remember any of this in the marketing at all. So maybe that's what they're talking about when they said it was a marketing failure. But if you really want to maximize and make your friendship useful, you have to spend each day softly complimenting each hero and taking like one of them out on a date night. Did I download a modded Dead or Alive? What's happening? Seriously, this game has a lot to offer with a lot of completion playthroughs coming in around 90 to 100 hours for like completionist everything, getting everything. But so much of that is spent in the Abbey running through the checklists of tasks and having to manage the relationships of heroes. And oh my god, the tasks I manage range from like assigning heroes to complete missions for Carol, starting research tasks with Doctor Strange for upgrades in the Abbey, with Tony and Strange, joining a hero for daily sparring, cashing in intel, research, gamma cores, with Tony, hanging out with heroes, responding to Superlink messages, and the various heroes who are DTF, and there's so much. Maybe some people enjoy this, but man, it just felt like they were just trying to prolong the experience. It's like they were just afraid to let the players do the campaign at their own pacing, instead of just timing everything off like they did. When it does come to relationships and talking to heroes, man, this game is kind of thirsty. I know I'm kind of joking a little bit, but I don't think a lot of these characters, especially like Logan, who's like a known loner, would be so accepting and bashful in response to praise and admiration. It's like Fire Axe has got a little bit of, just a tinge of like Persona, a little bit of Dead or Alive in my Marvel game. It's not like you'll be playing volleyball beachside with Captain America, but is hanging out poolside or gifting him a snack box or a good literature read really all that different? The only positive that comes from relationships are the various stat increases that come like with each overall relationship level and the occasional battle boost for the hero. But that's only for the one that you recently hung out with or complimented. Once you do reach maximum friendship level with a hero, you run them through their respective Midnight Sun mission. That simply just grants you a legendary Midnight Sun costume for that hero, which, in my opinion, does look pretty sick. Research missions are restricted to your research level, which require intel cores. And hero missions, oh my god, are locked behind obtaining intel cores for missions, and gamma cores are exactly the same. This game is full of redundancies, I feel like. Either way, you'll be spending a lot of time doing a mission and then using its resources, and then you run back and forth through the Abbey, back and forth, doing upgrades, setting in cores, back and forth. It's never ending. And like you'll have plenty of time and plenty of opportunities as well, because later story missions require you to complete a different non-story mission to advance. And sometimes you'll complete the non-story mission and then find out that your research level isn't high enough, and I hate this part. It just feels like the game is trying to gatekeep its own story, something that I think this game is so incredibly guilty of at every turn. I didn't reach Act 2 until I was 20 hours in, and that was me doing the bare minimum and solely sticking to the required missions. Not only that, but a lot of the extra stuff only becomes obtainable later in the game, like 20 to 30 hours later, in the game. At least with the non-story missions, you aren't beholden to using the hunter. Oftentimes it's a different hero leading the mission, and you get to create your dream team of heroes, and I view that as a positive. I was a big fan of using Spider-Man, Robbie Reyes, Wolverine, Magic, and Captain America, although sometimes I would work in Nico, although her abilities weren't really my favorite. But the thought of having to spend hours and hours more working on their relationships, because even after 30 hours, I'm only level 3 with Spider-Man, is not something I'm looking forward to. That is the highest level of everyone I have. How am I only level 3? Between all the random currencies this game offers, I'm starting to think 2K was going to force heavy microtransactions into this one, and maybe they did and I just didn't notice. But you have to upgrade cards, you have to rebuff cards, you have ability crafting, blueprints, card schematics, all with purchases that require various different currencies. Instead of just using credits, which also are a currency in the game and they do exist, we have heroism, vitality, and like 3 other currencies based off traits to keep track of. And like, are XCOM games like this? I don't think they are. But there's just too much going on. Too much to keep track of, and I just don't see how any of these systems actually benefit the game or the overall experience. Like, I'm stuck waiting for credits, but meanwhile I'm overflowing with all these other credits that can only be used in certain parts of the game. To shed some positives, the story is actually really good, and I do enjoy seeing our heroes in a less than familiar and demonic, gothic kind of setting. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I really enjoyed the pacing, the cameos, and the overall evil and darker tone to a Marvel game. The moments feel absolutely epic, and the story leaves you wondering whether or not we actually know our place in the prophecy of the Midnight Sun and what our role is as the hunter. The amount of customization given to the players is immense and a lot to manage at times. Each character's deck can be tweaked to a specific playstyle with various cards. We've got costumes and color palettes for each hero, photo frames in each of their dorms to decorate, clothing specifically for lounging around the lobby or hanging by the spa, and yeah, this is weird. But kudos to Firaxis for the amount of customization, but somebody in that studio needs to get bonked with the horny hammer, because Jesus, I did not need to see Wolverine in his skinnies or caps, well, shields. Throughout the story, you're given various dialogue options that decide whether you'll lean more towards the dark side or the light side. Your allegiance will ultimately factor into the abilities the hunter unlocks later on, and not much else. In fact, I noticed a lot of times you're given a dark and light option, but then there's additional lines that provide 0 light or dark energy. And these dialogues can only be gone through once, so what's the point in providing dialogue that's non-beneficial to the goal? I get that writers probably had better lines and they wanted to get them in, but if this is a game to be played once or twice, one for dark and one for light, why would I ever pick the third or fourth option unless I think they're genuinely funny? The only benefit that I see sometimes is that the light option, despite it being good, will actually make you lose a friendship point with that hero, just because it's not the response they want to hear. Otherwise, I really don't know why those are there. Visually, there's something off about Marvel's Midnight Suns. I'm playing it on PC. My PC is fairly good, and I've just heard that the 2K launcher creates issues, but to still be experiencing very obvious visual issues even a year or more down the line is crazy. On the field, the game looks fantastic with really high detailing and the heroes and the environments, but other than that, the animation for characters in the Abbey is also not that great, and it leaves a lot of them looking like stiff porcelain. But in battle, each character has cards that have cool animations, that are fluid, and they never ruin the immersion like the Abbey experience. Once you're back at the Abbey, this game is a blurry mess. It can't figure out what the heck it wants to focus on. A hero will be talking and all of a sudden my, intermittent astigmatism kicks in and the characters become a blurry mess while random things in the environment or lighting objects retain incredibly high fidelity. I can't believe this game made it to market like this on PC. Were the playtesters just dogs with cataracts? What happened? Side note, As I was going back for more footage, Wanda glitched out and hasn't stopped since. I think I broke her, guys. So that's Marvel's Midnight Suns. And I gotta say, like, I really enjoyed this game. I'm gonna go back and play more levels. This is without a doubt the largest and longest review I've done for this channel. And a lot of that is due to the pure grind that is Midnight Suns. Normally I take about a week to do these games and the review. And you can sometimes see that. But this time it took me 3 weeks to get through this game to a point that I felt like I could do a review. And while the combat and the deck building is absolutely amazing and a joy to behold, and I can't recommend that part enough, the relationship building and bogged down Abbey experience really makes the whole thing sludge and just drags out the whole thing. I mean, if you're into buying gifts for superheroes, that's cool, and hanging out with them and taking them to a little safe haven and, you know, just being a flirtiest guy, go ahead. But this blurry, horny, geeky mess probably got the reception it deserved when you consider everything I mentioned before. That being said, if Fire Access was given the chance to make another one of these tactical games with the Marvel Universe, it doesn't have to be the Midnight Suns, I'd absolutely pick it up. Just please. Less poolside clothing and less flirting next time. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Did you like this video? It kind of took me a little bit longer to make than usual just due to the whole scope of the video. But feel free to let me know in the comment section below. I'm a small and growing channel. Feel free to drop a like, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more. I try and do these on the weekly, but a larger game like this takes me a little longer. As you can see, my last upload was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. If you want to support the channel in different ways, I do have a Patreon. The link for that is in the description, as well as my Humble Bundle affiliate link. Feel free to check out the Humble Bundle store. Anything you purchase does have a small portion going back to the channel, which is always appreciated and gives me the opportunity to create more videos like this. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, you have a good one.